I watched the wrong episode?
You may have.
I think you watched the wrong episode.
I don't think that's
watch
possible.
the wrong episode.
Altered Carbon is a great show for all your favorite wordplay games. You can say carbonara, cardboard, carburetor.
Oh, Altered Carbon reminded me of that arcade game, Altered Beast, where you're a dude and then you turn into a beast.
Knew it. I knew it.
Altered Carbon did not remind me of that game, but it was a futuristic look into the future.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. You're welcome. If you want us to review a show, just say WTF and the show in the comments below. That means watch the first. So you could say, watch the first Taxi, watch the first MASH, WTF, what's happening now, and so on. With us, as always, by the way, if you didn't guess, Altered Carbon is what we're reviewing. Episode 1 out of the past. With us, as always, he played Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg.
Yay!
Mr. Frodo. That was a terrible Gandalf impression.
It's very solid.
You shall not pass. That's a better one.
Yeah.
That's good.
Joining us today, we have actress, producer, writer, Galadriel. No, Kat Geren, everybody.
Galadriel, I guess, was an
I guess she'd
princess.
be more of a Arwen. She'd be more of an Arwen.
Yeah,
obviously.
Another elf princess.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Aragorn.
Don't you forget it.
Son of Arathorn. Strider. Anyway, let's go ahead and review Altered Carbon, Episode 1, Out of the Past. Please give this video a like or give us 5 stars if you're listening in. Leave us comments in the comment section below. Tell us what series you'd like us to review. Whatever it is, we'll probably do it. By the way, this was suggested, this episode was suggested by our good friend, Melissa Longo. So Melissa Longo,
yay.
This review is for you.
You.
Thank you. Thank you for making suggestions of things.
I saw a lot of Watch the First My Little Pony recently.
A lot of it?
Nice.
There's only one of them, but I don't know how you
She
saw
watched
a lot of
a
it.
lot of the episode that we did. Like
I
2/3
saw
of it.
a lot of comments for that. I'm wondering why it has not happened yet.
It did.
We did get it. We did
You
get
did?
it just recently. The wait is finally over.
Right.
The clamoring can subside. It has finally happened. Kat, you are in for a treat. Check it out.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Brian's there. I'm there as well, if you can believe that. Rico E. Anderson and Darth F.S. Shuey.
I will have to check this out. Finally.
Right. And everybody at home, do the same. So let's get started with my favorite game ever. It probably is. We like to predict whether we liked something or disliked something. We don't predict ourselves because we already know. We predict each other. So I'm going to start off and say, Michael, I've known you for quite some time now. So I know that
By the way, this segment is called Predictaments.
I tried to have a continuous stream of talking so that you couldn't sneak that in, but you still did.
Nope, sorry. Too late.
Michael, I predict that you liked this show. You weren't over the moon about it, but you liked it. You thought, hey, this is good sci-fi, and I'm vaguely interested in it. It's also high concept, and you're a smart fella, so you probably like high concept stuff. Kat, I think that you wanted to like this more than you actually did. I think you came in with a very open mind, and you enjoyed some aspects of it, but you're pretty on the fence about it. Michael, what do you think?
Well, I know Ryan.
No,
and I
come
think
on.
that he was turned off a little bit by all of the male nudity. He doesn't really like looking at naked male butts. And there was a lot of naked male butts in this first episode of Altered Carbon. I can only imagine how many naked male butts the entire series has, but I can imagine quite a few. But it is, like Ryan mentioned, high concept. And actually, I think like smart people would prefer something a little bit lower concept, because high concept is like aimed at dummies because they can understand it easily. But I think Ryan liked it nonetheless, even though he's a smarty also. And it's very fascinating. I think he thought it was a very fascinating science fiction story. And I don't think he was thrilled by all of it, especially, like I mentioned, all of the naked male butts. And Kat, I think, also liked it, probably more because of the naked male butts.
What do you think, Kat?
Well, what's it called that the main character uses? His power that he uses to see things.
His naked male butt.
His naked male butt power. I'm going to use that to decipher my guesses here. So I think that Michael enjoyed it. I think he liked it. I think he thought it was a good story. It had good writing, and enjoyed it. And I think Ryan liked it a lot. I think he liked it more than Michael. But now I'm going to hop on the fence and say that he also did not like the male buttocks.
Okay, so everybody at home, you have received a lot of hints and a lot of mention of, I'm not going to give this any more strength, but you heard a lot of talk about certain anatomy pieces and parts. So make your predictions. Do you think I liked it, and why? Do you think Michael liked it? Do you think Kat liked it? These are not easy predictions, guys. This is not easy. So while you're thinking, while you're hemming and hawing, while you're typing away right now with your predictions, Michael is going to tell us, what the heck is this show even about?
Set in a future where consciousness is digitized and stored, a prisoner returns to life in a new body and must solve a mind-bending murder to win his freedom. In this episode, waking up in a new body 250 years after his death, Takashi Kovacs discovers he's been resurrected to help a titan of industry solve his own murder.
It's always interesting when you read these things. I always have the same thought. I should have read that. It's helpful. I didn't know.
I'll tell you, I did not read it also.
Yeah, but I feel like I should have. Yeah, 250 years. I had no idea. So that's a long, boy, that's a long time. Okay.
All right.
So
okay.
Next, what's next, Michael? I don't even remember.
So next is we compare what we expected versus what we got.
Your favorite game.
Expectations. No, I just played my favorite game, which is the synopsis.
All right. So we compare and contrast what we expected versus what we got. Just like Michael just told you, they're like, he just said that. So let's do that. Michael, before you watched this episode of Altered Carbon, what did you expect?
Well, as I also just mentioned, I did not read that synopsis. I went into it completely blind. I had not heard anything about this. I kind of vaguely was hoping that it'd be something like Altered Beast, just because I used to love to play that arcade game when I was a wee lass.
So good, so fun.
Yeah, it was really it was good, especially when you like transform. I don't remember but they said something like Altered Beast. I don't know. I forget what it was, but it was something fun.
Something never heard
fun
of
like that.
What is
Altered Beast? It's an old game from like the 70s or something. probably
No,
from
it
like the
was like
60s.
the early 90s or something.
Yeah. But yes, I expected nothing. I had no idea what the show was about at all. I had only heard about it because Melissa had suggested it. I had never seen it on Netflix before and never heard anything or anything about it or anywhere or any person or anywhere or who.
Yeah. So Altered Beast, let's just quickly look at this.
Altered Beast. I think they said Altered Beast.
Yeah, you start off as like this dude here, and then you eat magic mushrooms, and then you become even bigger and stronger, and then you eat more mushrooms, and you become like a wolf or a monster. And then you remember this guy, then you fight this guy, like, and then that's like the first level, and you beat the first level.
I think there was like two players, and like one turned into a wolf, and one turned into like a Godzilla type thing.
Yeah, something like kind of like Rampage. See, look,
Rampage,
like
yeah,
tiger.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
That looks familiar. I feel like
Altered Beast.
See, Kat knows. All right. Well, Kat, before you watched this episode of Altered Carbon, what did you expect, if anything?
Well, I actually had heard of it because my husband really liked the show and he had watched the entire series. But I had never watched it with him, but he's very into the sci-fi genre. So, and he always, you know what, someday can we be really nice and have him come on the show because he loves sci-fi.
Of course. That's not even that nice of us. That's just kind of like normal.
Was he excited when he found out you were watching it?
Yeah, he watched it with me again.
Nice.
So I had a little bit of, I kind of knew what it was about, but I didn't know fully the full context of what it was, but I knew what I was getting into for sure.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I expected before I watched this show. Not much. I remember hearing about it 2 or 3 years ago when it first came out. I remember people talking about it, but I don't remember, I just remember it existing. I remember it being kind of a little buzz out there. Like, I think some people said it was complicated or difficult to understand. Some people said it was great, or that maybe I'm thinking of something else. There have been a lot of sci-fi things that have those kinds of comments attached to them. So very, very little. That's really it. I either remember hearing good things and not so good things, or I don't remember that. That's all I got.
It's one of those two.
And I remembered it might have been one of those shows with Katie Sackhoff, but maybe that was a different one that came out recently that she's in. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Battlestar Galactica.
No, like in the last couple of years. Everybody in the chat knows right now. There's
a Mandalorian.
There was a new series that came out maybe on Sci-Fi that had Katie Sackhoff in it, I think.
Oh yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar.
And it's
WTF, that show with Katie Sackhoff.
And it sounded vaguely like Altered Carbon, like one or two words like oxygen or I don't know. Anyway, so basically nothing, but that's what we expected. Michael, what did you actually get?
I got a show about a dystopian future television show program on Netflix for streaming. About a dystopian future about souls switching bodies and how rich people own everything and can get away with everything. Yeah.
Okay.
So not much difference than real life, except for the soul switching bodies. Yeah.
I did a quick Google search. Another Life is the show Katie Sackhoff is in. Feels like that title feels like a similar
same amount of syllables, right?
Well, and also feels like a similar idea, Another Life, and this is about anyway. So that's the show. It's 2019. I think this one's 2018.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Kat. I got a show that is a show. Kat.
Good recap.
That's it. There's the show. I got pretty much exactly what I expected. It was exactly, I expected to be a dystopian future sci-fi thriller, and that's what I got. I got what I expected.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what I got in a nutshell.
Okay. All right.
A chore, a fucking chore. So that's what we got.
So it was a chore for Ryan to watch the show.
It was a fucking chore. It felt like homework.
Chore.
It felt like homework. It felt like work to continue to pay attention to this when my mind kept betraying me, trying so hard to think about and pay attention to anything else other than what's the score? What's going on here? Oh, did I remember to do this? Oh, what's this message? And I kept saying, no, Ryan, you need to watch this show. This is not a thing, a fun thing. This is a work item that you must continue to do. And then I would be watching it and my mind would still betray me and just go, well, the eyes can stare at this, but the brain is going over here in Greece and thinking about Greek things. And anyway, so that's what I got.
I'll tell you what I did not expect.
Interesting.
Is all the male.
Oh yeah, I didn't even. To be honest, I didn't even notice all that because I wasn't paying attention enough to notice. So when you were saying that, I was like, "Was there really that many butts in it?"
There was a few butts, but really, there was a lot of like male and female nudity. There was butts and nips.
Yeah,
butts and nips going on,
and then some.
Yeah. So I didn't expect to see all this skin, but right away, I mean, they kind of start showing you all this skin, and you're like, "What? Whoa!" But I agree that it's very confusing. It's like, at least at first, like to try to get into it, it's very disjointed and very confusing. But Kat has an answer for us.
I will say that I kind of I had a little cheat sheet of my husband.
Nice.
Yeah. And I asked a lot of questions.
Oh, you're one of those people.
While the episode was playing out, because I got so confused.
See, like I said, it was like homework, and you were smart enough to have a tutor with you.
Mm-hmm.
You had a tutor that could whisper in your ear, that you could pause and say, and I bet that makes it a much more enjoyable process if they can explain, what's going on. So I'd be interested to know from the get-go, what were things that you did not understand that your husband helped you to understand, making it a more enjoyable show for you?
I think initially first, I didn't understand that if you died, you can die completely if they destroy your chip.
Right.
I didn't understand that. I didn't understand this convoy thing that he was a part of, and why they had special powers. Did they have special powers, or was he just special, or were they a different race of people, or was he taught this? And I didn't really get it very clear. I'm still kind of asking that question. I don't really understand that, because why was he talking to his dead girlfriend, and why was he seeing through walls? That didn't really get answered for me. So right off the bat, those were some questions for sure.
So I looked it up a little bit, and this is based on a novel. So you might get all that detail right away in the novel, but at least in this show, they don't tell you all that. And so, I mean, any good show is going to have some unanswered questions, because that's going to get you to keep watching the next episode, the next season. They want to keep you guessing, but this show, it just seems like they just threw us all these questions and provided very vague hints at answers.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I think that's what the problem was for me too, is that you want a show that forces you to ask questions in the realm of mystery, not in the realm of what am I seeing? Because it felt like the questions that they created are questions in which I don't really know what I'm watching. I don't know if I'm supposed to care. I don't know what the situation is or what the problem is. What I want is a show that explains all those things to you so that you have your footing, and then creates some questions and some mysteries for you to go, okay, now what the heck is this? Like
Mhm.
Lost did that really well.
Mhm.
We got it. They land on a island. Some people died. I think everybody lived, or some people lived. I don't really know. I think, yeah, some people lived and some people died. And then
Mhm.
from there, the mysteries start coming bit by bit. And that's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, I think they should have done a better job at establishing like the world and establishing what like the rules are and what the context of that, and then the questions around like the murder and his life. Like that's what's interesting. That's what keeps you watching. But these details, and I found it funny that he kept remarking that his species or whatever is all about details, but yet we don't know any details like about his species.
Right. I did, and
have these guys even watched Lost?
Well, I'll tell you what they may have watched. I feel like I caught a couple Star Trek references in here. Okay. Like number one was that Poe walks into his poker buddies and is talking, and they say it's been 47 years, as everybody knows is Star Trek's favorite number, 47. I feel like there are one or two others, and I'll have to check in my notes because I can't remember them offhand, but there are one or two other little things. So I was like, I wonder if that's a nod to Star Trek. And if I can't find it in my notes, then I can't get an answer. Sorry to say.
Dang it.
Oh yeah, Private Dix. That reminded me of Captain Picard being Dixon Hill.
Dixon Hill, yeah.
And yeah, and they were, and what's her name? Lily called him Dix. Watch your caboose, Dix. And then Private Dix. Coincidence? I don't know.
Maybe.
Or maybe they just like saying Dix.
I mean, we'd have to like look at like when this novel was written anyway, but to see if that's a part of the novel and to see if that was before, after, or concurrent with Next Generation. Yeah. But I don't know. I can kind of glean some answers from some things. I mean, it seems like there was some uprising, and this lady, Forrester, Kells Forrester, whoever she is, I think she's the black girl who is like his ex-girlfriend or something like that, who died, played by, what was her name? Renee Elise Goldsberry. She played Angelica. Like her big breakout role was playing Angelica in the original Broadway cast of Hamilton.
Nice.
Yeah. So she's like the diva from that show, and she was great in that, and she's showed up in like a bunch of other stuff too. She played an ensign on Star Trek Enterprise back in the day in one episode. I'm
listening. See all these Star Trek connections, and I've just tuned right back in.
Yeah. So it seems like, basic from what I can glean from the hints that they dropped during this episode, because I did my homework, Ryan, and I paid very close attention to this episode as well as watching.
I will right now too.
But it seems like she kind of there was some resistance against these people that they call meths or something like that.
Yeah, meths with a capital
Meths,
M.
I thought that was a strange
name for them, which is like the rich people. So they're the people who are fighting against the rich people in this uprising resistance. And I think that this Kells lady kind of put together this resistance of these envoys. Maybe she created them, or maybe she found their race somewhere or something like that. They don't really tell us that, which is, I guess, one thing that we're really interested in knowing. And it seems like he's the last of them, and that's why this guy Bancroft wants him to solve his murder, because the police can't solve his murder. But meanwhile, trying to go back to my notes to find out what I was going to say. So they did say that, the opening part is very confusing, because you see this Asian guy back, which is what we find out later, 250 years ago.
Yeah, did we get his name, by the way?
Takashi.
Oh, so
Kovacs.
that was in the past?
Yes.
Right.
That was him. I did not catch that, because I
that was him in the past.
Guy watching him at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's him. He just reincarnated into a
different. He got mowed down, And then because he did a bunch of bad stuff, they took his little chip out of his neck and put him into cold storage.
Yeah.
And then because this billionaire guy, or probably quadrillionaire or whatever by that time, because this guy has all this money and he wants this envoy guy to solve his murder, he pulls him out of cold storage and puts him into a new body of like some guy who's got military training.
But then how is he watching himself at the end there?
So I think it was like him hallucinating. There's a lot of hallucinations as well that are going on the whole time.
That's what that lady says in the beginning when she's like, when they go into the reinstatement, you know, she's like, you will have auditory and visual hallucinations from.
But on top of that too, he's like
good
jacked up on all these drugs too.
Okay.
True.
So
yeah, he's got a backpack full of drugs that he's been dropping into his eyes. And so that's probably causing him to hallucinate even harder.
Too. I've done that.
Yeah.
So he was seeing himself.
Yes.
I thought it was cool too that the main character had like an Asian first name and like an Eastern European last name. It just like he asked all these questions.
Speaking in these weird like combination language too. Like it's like sounds like sometimes it sounds like German, sometimes it sounds like Spanish.
Yeah. Language evolves.
Yeah.
As they say.
But then they also speak English. So it's like there's these two separate languages so that's another question. But you know, it's not like you can kind of accept the fact that, you know, human life has evolved and now there are these weird hybrid languages. So.
Thank goodness Kat's got the answers for us too. Was that Negan, by the way? Was that the actor that plays Negan in The Walking Dead? Like, who was the guy with the beard? He looked familiar.
I don't think it was Negan.
It looked like him. But I haven't watched Negan on The Walking Dead. I've just seen him in like memes and stuff. So
I've never seen this guy before. The main guy, Takashi.
Oh.
Which Takashi though? Because there's
the white one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Never seen him.
There's white Takashi and there's Asian Takashi.
Right. Okay. So while Mike looks up their names, so what?
I mean, no, it's not. Negan's not in here at all.
So who is that guy with like the grayish beard?
The policeman?
I don't even know. By the way, it was a great show. Like, I am not knocking this show. I think it was and Melissa, thank you for the suggestion. Boy, I owe you one. I'm hooked. Also, shout out to our good friend, Mr. Rico E. Anderson, because there was a character named Elliot, and I believe that's the E in Rico E. Anderson. So shout out to him because he doesn't get enough shout outs. So, okay.
What I want to know though is why was the policewoman so obsessed with this guy? You know, like why was she so
I think she
obsessed?
Really liked his naked male butt. Is my opinion on that.
No, see, and that can be a mystery that is a good mystery to have in a show. And Kat, I'm hoping you have an answer or a guess.
I mean, sure, I have a guess, absolutely, that one of these envoy people maybe killed her family or something. I don't know, but she seems very, very like she wants these gone. Like she does not want this guy reincarnated. But she's made it her mission. I'm like, but it seemed like this world is like pretty crime ridden, and she seems like really like focused on this guy. And it just seemed kind of strange to me. Like, why is she so focused on this guy?
Well, they're very dangerous, as you know. I mean, they like if you look at his record, he's got all these different murders, like terrorism, like assassinations. Like he's got all these different things on his rap sheet. So I mean, right there, he's a dangerous guy, and you know, she knows also that this Bancroft guy is probably up to no good, rich asshole. You know what I mean? Like just throwing his money around, and like his wife has this like magical tree that's is like the only one on earth or something like that. Like,
I think she killed him. I think the wife killed him. I mean, she seems guilty.
It's possible, yeah.
As heck.
Watch your mouth. So here, I've got a fact check too, by the way, guys.
Okay.
When Takashi Kovacs 19, Takashi goes to visit Kovacs 19 when he goes to see Elliot. And Elliot starts shooting his machine gun all over the place, and the glass is breaking, and they're fighting and shooting. And then Kovacs 19 knocks him out and ties him to a chair and all this stuff. And then he wakes up, and all I could think about was nobody called the police. Like there was machine gun fire all over the place. Didn't they call nobody? They doesn't have any neighbors to call the police on him.
Wait, what? When did that happen? Did you watch the wrong episode?
What scene is that one?
When Kovacs knocks out Elliot.
I don't know. There was no Elliot.
Yeah, visits him, the black guy's home. When he goes into the black guy's home and knocks him out. Did I watch the wrong episode?
You may have.
I think you watched the wrong episode.
I don't think that's possible.
The wrong episode.
Oh man, this will be just like the time we should do like one of those Family Guy cutaways. This will be more embarrassing than the time. Let me see.
No wonder you're so confused.
Oh yeah, because I bet that the first season's really not confusing at all. No, I watched the right episode. Out of the Past, yeah.
What is he talking about, Michael?
Did you guys watch the right episode?
All right. So, okay, it starts out like it's in the past, and like him and his partner or whatever, they're stealing those little chips. They're stealing a bunch of those, and they're like showering naked together, and they're like washing the blood off each other. So yeah, I can't believe you didn't see all the naked,
they were having
naked male
sex,
nudity.
And then they got police.
Yeah, and then some dudes busted into their hotel room.
His fellow envoys, I guess, right?
No, I don't think so.
I watched the second episode. I'm checking it right now. How does Netflix start on the second episode?
I don't know.
What the heck? I just pushed play on the first thing, and somehow it skipped to the second episode. And I literally didn't even check to see, because I pushed play on the first episode. That's why this show it starts you on the second episode. This is an outrage.
Brian,
no wonder
this show is called Watch the First.
No wonder I didn't notice that many butts. I was like, I don't know, maybe a couple butts, I guess. I saw a lot more naked women in this. Oh, that is so weird.
That's why you're like, wait a minute, what were you talking about? Magical tree? What are you even talking about?
Oh, I just figured it was another thing that I didn't pay attention to. I was like, yeah, magic tree, whatever. It's the white tree outside of Gondor. We all know. No big deal. Okay, well, let me tell you, the second episode was... Yeah, because I'm looking at the first episode, and I don't remember a shower scene.
No, there was a couple shower scenes.
You know what would have been really cool is
if you watched the first episode,
is if we
could talk about the first episode.
Is if we went through this entire review and never realized that we watched different episodes. Like if we were just talking in vague generalities, like, yeah, it was okay, I liked this part, but I didn't like that part. But that we never actually and I would have never known. I would have had no idea. Well, then you guys tell me what happened in the first episode.
So it's in the past, and like Asian Takashi and his partner, this chick that they shower, that they're like, first of all, they're showering, they're like washing blood off of each other, and they have like a whole stash of these little chips, these people chips. And then like these uniformed guys come in, and like Takashi can like see through the walls, so he sees them coming, and then they blast open the wall, and so it kind of jumps back and forth between the past and the future, and that's very confusing because you don't know what's going on. But basically, these guys bust in, they mow down the chick partner, And then they mow down Takashi. Well, but first they kill the chick partner so that they makes it look like Takashi did it, because that's on his rap sheet when he wakes up too. And then it's like 250 years in the future. So that's a big thing that you missed, is 250 years in the future.
He wakes.
They wake him up in a different body, and turns out he was hired by this rich gazillionaire guy, Bancroft, to solve his own murder. And so he arrives so the Bancroft is like in the spire that's above the clouds, so that they don't have to like see all the filth of the city below them. And like when he's leaving the detention facility, Alcatraz they call it, when he's leaving Alcatraz, there's all these protesters outside saying, "Oh, the spirit, blah 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 blah." And that's one of my big things with this thing too, is, and this might be another question that needs to be answered, is what happens to the spirits of the people whose bodies they use? Like they're basically saying that your spirit, your consciousness is held in these little microchips that they implanted you at age 1. But then what happens to the body, to the spirit of the bodies that just become these bodies that people can use?
And maybe that will play out. Maybe it will play out in the series. That would be an interesting kind of storyline to. Mm-hmm. It's like, what if you're fighting against the person's spirit that's like still in the body, you know?
Right.
And so maybe that's what the protesters are kind of protesting about.
Right. That's what I was thinking too.
Because
so I was just giving you guys spoilers this whole time about the second episode. Let me tell you, but the first episode sounds like it's slightly more interesting. The second episode started off with an intro. Like it actually says like, "Oh, peace is hard to come by," or whatever. There's like some monologue, and there's like a
spoilers,
nice
Ryan.
I mean, there's no spoiler to say it was a monologue. I can't really tell you too much about that because I don't want to spoil this gem for you. But I feel like I can't really throw dirt on it anymore, because it's like, well, you should have watched the first episode. And then maybe you would like that. Maybe the second episode would be gripping to you right now. But anyway.
Boy. Ryan, what happened?
You know, that happened one time when we reviewed A Different World. Remember that?
Yeah.
I watched, because I just kind of pushed
play. But you
on the
knew
first
it, though.
thing.
You caught it.
Right. I finished watching the first episode of the 4th season, and it was really good. And then I realized that I'd watched the 4th season, and I was like, no wonder nobody got really introduced. So I went back. I had the time, because it wasn't a 3-hour long episode like this thing is. And I went back and I actually watched the first episode, and no spoilers, everybody, but how I felt about the first episode of the 4th season and the first episode of the 1st season was pretty different. So check out our review of A Different World. I believe Rico, who gets too many shout outs per day nowadays, is getting crazy. This is ridiculous. But I believe he was our guest when we reviewed that. So
this is his 3rd shout out in this episode, and he's not even in this episode.
Yeah, I think it was, real quick, it aired February 24th. So watch the first number 49 to get all the details about that. Anyway.
Yeah, 49ers, dude.
What were the highlights to you of this episode?
Kat?
For me.
It's like, buy me some time.
No, I can go. I can go first if you don't know what to say. So for me, the best thing about this show is the world that they're in. It's a dystopian future, which is one of my favorite tropes in science fiction literature. Is these futures where the system is broken and everything is jacked up. Obviously, there's crime everywhere in this huge sprawl of a place, whatever it's called, Base City. The rich people live in these pretty much castles in the clouds above everyone else, completely separated from the rest of humanity, and able to kind of live their own best lives away from all the dirt of filth of regular people. Yeah, so I really liked that. I really liked that, whatever, the Songspire tree, that was pretty cool. This magical tree that they
Yeah,
had.
that was pretty good. I like that.
Well, you don't even know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah,
it is pretty cool. I mean, it's very,
song,
very mythical and very fantasy if you
that
see it.
one
And it's
tree.
like, yeah, the magic tree. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed like the AI hotel that he goes to, and
That
the
was
AI
my
guy.
favorite part.
All right, you can talk about that then.
That was my favorite part, going to the AI hotel. That was another thing where I was kind of confused, where she was like, no one goes to those hotels anymore. And I was like, why don't people go to an AI hotel? And the policewoman was saying that it's because they know too much about their guests or something, like there's no privacy. But it seemed really cool to me. It seemed really awesome.
That's foreshadowing to episode 2, let me tell you.
Oh, interessante. Okay.
Is it foreshadowing, or is it just what happened before?
Before shadowing.
I loved it. I loved how the AI guy like blew up all of those guys that were trying to track down Takashi. And then so that opened up a whole nother storyline of like, is there something that he did that people are out for him for, because who were those guys that knew him? That was very
he kind of said it himself, that he thinks that he's onto something with this Bancroft murder.
Yeah.
He thinks like, because he's like, nobody knows me. This is like my old life was 250 years ago. Oh, yeah, there's nobody who would be out for me. They think that I'm onto something with this Bancroft murder, so they want to take me out.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yes. Okay, well, I loved that scene. I loved the hotel scene. That was so cool. And I also loved the overall concept, of putting someone's consciousness onto a chip. I mean, that's such a really, really interesting concept to explore. So I really like that this show tackled that.
And the concierge guy, the clerk at the AI hotel, he was
that
just
guy was
so
probably
cool
my
the whole
favorite
time.
character. Yeah,
he was so awesome.
That was probably my favorite.
He's pretty much Edgar Allan Poe, right? Because like it's the hotel's called the Raven.
Yeah.
And his name is Poe.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
okay.
His name is actually Poe. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So I'm surprised you guys didn't catch that. I didn't realize that you didn't catch that. It was all over the second episode. I don't know. Anyway, let's this has been a lot of fun, but let's have some even more fun and talk about you for a minute here, Kat. Are you ready for it? Yes, absolutely. Save us, Kat. So as everybody knows, Kat is an actress, producer, a writer, got a lot of projects going, especially one that's happening in the works right now. And you have an update on that, do you not?
I do. It's so exciting. Elise is almost 30. We wrapped about 99% of filming. And we found an editor, a very prominent editor. He is the editor on Curb Your Enthusiasm and FX's Dave. And we're putting a sizzle together, a little trailer. And we're editing, the full 30-minute pilot as well. And I want to submit it to South by Southwest and hopefully have it premiere there. And then once it's out, we can do a watch the first of my episode.
Nice. Now,
by the way, we finally watched Curb Your Enthusiasm at your recommendation.
And what did you think?
Well, Mike watched the 6th episode. It was really unprofessional.
Yeah, after watching the first 5.
No, let's see. Well, we'll tell you, that is Watch the First number 78. And we reviewed it with our good friend, Mr. Scott Baker. And, well, that's all you're going to get out of me. That's all you're going to get out of me. But I had heard about this show forever, and I'd never actually seen one episode before. But Michael, you'd seen it before, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I liked it.
The first episode is pretty.
You know that.
Larry David is my ultimate crush. He's my celebrity crush, hands down. So
nice. Your hall pass.
Watching, if he's anywhere out there.
You hear that, Larry David? If you're watching this, you got a free pass.
Swoop in so fast. So Kat, before we flip the channel here, can you tell us if there were anything, any moments or aspects of Elise's Almost 30, your new film or series, if there was anything in there that you saw after shooting it that you were super surprised by or really impressed, something that turned out much better than you expected?
I just think the overall footage, like I was producing and I was acting. I didn't really stand behind the camera and watch the footage because I had so much to do. So watching the dailies and just being completely astonished at how amazing it looks. We shot on a Sony FX7, and our DP for our second half of the shoot, his name is Don Morgan. He's a 5-time Emmy Award winner, a Lifetime Achievement Award winner. So, and then we also had Matt Valentine, an Emmy nominated DP on our first half of the shoot. So it's like looks spectacular. Like it blew me away. It looks like anything that's on Netflix right now. So it's that, to me, that was like, oh my God, I know it's going to look good, but like, this isn't even color corrected yet. And it looks great. And also how funny it is. Like, it's hilarious. It is so funny. I don't want to give anything away, but it's so funny.
You just did. Oh man. Now we know it's funny.
Well, that's really cool. It's always good to be able to finally see the fruits of your labor, especially since you were acting in it, starring in it. You couldn't really see what the DP is seeing, what the camera op and director is seeing. So that's really cool. Definitely keep us posted on that. Michael will include all the pertinent links in the description box below, as he does, because he is our MVP. But now we get to move on to my favorite portion of this show. It's going to be an interesting one. The terrible twos.
The bottom line. We just call it the bottom line.
Yeah, the bottom line.
We just call it the bottom line.
It's the bottom line.
Bottom line.
So this is going to be really interesting and fun, and I've already got my answers prepared.
Okay. So, I'm wondering how you're going to be able to score this one, seeing as you didn't watch the first episode.
Oh, didn't I, though? Watch this. While you guys were talking, I just watched the whole episode.
No, you didn't.
Now
it's an hour long.
It's the final two. I think it's 59 minutes. I do remember seeing that. It's the final two questions of our review, and they're the most important. So, question number 1, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate this first episode of Altered Carbon?
Well, there was a lot of things that I didn't care for. Number one is that for the beginning, at least, was very disjointed. I think it was like an artistic choice that they made to try to like show you fragments of the show. But because it was so disjointed, it was a little confusing. And it made it very hard to kind of get into it. But once I got into it, I loved the world. I mean, you can see like right behind me, this whole cool cityscape where there's all these holographic ads and stuff like that pop out.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
There's the cool AI. Don't try to play like you know what I'm talking about,
what?
Ryan.
No, go continue.
So there was like the cool AI hotel concierge, and like the whole, you can get whatever fantasy that you want. And like, I enjoyed all the nudity, male and female. That kind of made it more interesting. That made you like want to be like, okay, let me pay attention a little bit here. But the whole soul in a microchip thing, that kind of hard for me to swallow. Based on my own worldviews, maybe that's just my being stubborn or something like that. So I liked it, but there was a lot of things that I had found fault with. And like I said, also they raised too many questions, I think. And so I'm just going to give it a 7.5.
Wow.
It was all right. It was all right. But there was like, it could have been way better. And we didn't really talk about the acting, which I thought was pretty poor as well. And so the dialogue, why am I like getting blurry? My autofocus isn't working. But the dialogue wasn't great either. So there was like terrible dialogue, bad acting, but I'll still give it a 7.5 because I love dystopian.
That's very
stories.
forgiving. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's higher than I thought you were going to rate the second episode. So, Kat, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of Altered Carbon?
Well, I would have to agree that the writing wasn't super strong in the dialogue department. So the actors can only do so much with, so I'll just leave it at that. And the consciousness thing, like I said, I think that's a really cool idea to explore. But if you like want to get super specific about it, it's like we don't even know what consciousness is and how like you're putting this thing that's unquantifiable onto this chip where it's like, how do you really like where, I don't know. It's such like a weird thing for me to be like, yes, your consciousness, everything that encompasses all of you fits on this chip, there has to be like some, like you said, spirits or whatever that's like left behind somewhere. I don't know. So that was kind of, it's a cool concept, but yeah, it's hard for me to kind of takes me out of the story a little bit. And so, yeah, but those were kind of just the troubles that I had with it. But I really loved the world that they built. Again, I thought the setting was spectacular with the AI. I feel like Michael and I are saying like the exact same things.
Me too.
But I loved all of that. That was super cool. The fight scenes, everything like that. So I will say I give it a 6.7253.
6.72537.
Got it. All right. That's actually very close to what I was going to give it, Kat. So here's my thinking. Bear in mind, I may not have seen, the same episode as you, but that's not really relevant here.
Isn't it?
What? No, not really. Not if you, not in the big picture. What I'm trying to say is that I was going to give this thing, it felt like somewhere in the 2 to 4 range, the second episode. Now, okay. A lot of it was because I didn't know what the heck was going on. So you gotta cut a lot of that out. And, but I certainly got a feel for the vibe, what this show's about, how they deliver it, the acting, the writing in general. I saw the second episode. So I can't dock it for the questions that it left me with, because that's theoretically on me, although by what you guys said, not completely. And so I was going to move it to a 5 because I didn't see it. But based on what you guys have said, it's actually sounded fairly interesting. So I've got to give it a 6 for now. I've got to give it a 6. That's what I'm going to give it for now. But
I think you should watch the first episode, and then when
we're going to find out if he's going to watch the first. So we're going to find out if Kat and I are going to watch the second, but we're going to find out if Ryan's going to watch the first.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to know what his score will be. So
stay tuned.
Yeah.
So now, question number 2, everybody, buckle up. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Altered Carbon. But now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, would you watch the second episode?
So I keep going back to a quote from C.S. Lewis. He said, "You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body." And so that's kind of how I think of things. And so I don't think that really jives with this whole world. And that's probably one of my biggest problems with this. I mean, I love the whole worldscape. I love the cool science fiction elements about it, but I'm just not buying the fact that, people's souls can be transferred onto a microchip. And so I'm going to give this one, if I'm going to watch the second, it's going to be a no 0.5.
Interesting.
No 0.5, meaning I probably will not watch the second. I would not watch the second, but I would not be opposed to it. I wouldn't be opposed to watching the second, and I think other people should watch the second, but I'm going to say no for me, 0.5.
You're talking a lot about souls. We talking fish or the bottom of a shoe? Kat, would you watch the second episode of your own volition?
Well, to kind of, since I'm copying everything Michael is saying, but I actually sway kind of the other way, where I am very interested and kind of believe in reincarnation, so that kind of this piques my interest. So I will say, yes, I would watch the second episode.
Wow.
Yes, -5. Minus 0.5.
Boy, the pressure's on. I'm the tiebreaker. Good thing
Right.
I actually watched it twice.
Ryan,
So,
would you watch the first episode?
Well, the question officially is, would I watch the second?
But you did.
Based on what I have seen, I would not watch the second because I saw the second and I didn't like it very much. Now, I do feel like, Michael, yes, you're right again. You're always okay. You win. That in this case, it almost seems as though, and as Kat mentioned, I owe it to the show to watch the first. So I think, oh God, this is my punishment. This is my punishment for not crossing the T's and dotting the I's and double checking that Netflix wouldn't start me on the second episode for some reason. So
yeah, that's pretty weird.
Here's the thing.
Get together, Netflix.
Maybe it was like when I clicked on the first episode a few days ago to see how long it lasts. Maybe it just automatically skipped me to the next one. I don't know. I'm sure it's my fault somewhere down the line. I'm sure it's not Netflix. So yeah, I will have to watch the first episode. Right now, I'm going to put it as a yes, that I would watch the second. And in subsequent episodes, we will update you in a very veiled way so as not to give any spoilers. And I will go back and possibly change my 6 to something else and possibly change my yes, very likely, to a no. But I can't say that because that would be unfair to Melissa.
Yeah.
Who thought that we'd love this show, I think. Anyway, so that's about it. Everybody at home, if you'd like us to review the first or second episode of a show,
we do the first. We watch the first of things.
Well, sometimes.
Or we're supposed to.
In the comments below, leave a comment that says WTF and the show you'd like us to review. Like WTF Smurfs, or WTF Fat Albert, or WTF I Love Lucy, things like that. And then maybe we'll review it. You never know.
But try to give us some sci-fi stuff right now, because we're doing these episodes for the virtual Trek Con. We're trying to just do sci-fi.
Right. Like, what was the one after Another Life? If you want us to review Another Life, what do you think? Should we review it, Kat?
No, I haven't seen that one.
All right, everybody at home, if you want us to review Another Life, put it in the comments below. Say WTF, Another Life. Katie Sackhoff is in it. You like Battlestar Grammatica.
Mandalorian, too.
I'll put in Squid Game.
Squid Game.
What? Oh, Squid Game. Squidward. Squid Game. Okay. So that's about it. Michael likes to remind us to always give this video a like, please. Share it, subscribe to this channel, go show Kat some love online, like her pages and follow her and retweet her stuff and follow along in her awesome journey. Did we cover it all, Michael?
Mm-hmm.
Don't we say this podcast was?
Yes, we do.
That's the thing.
She's
I always
like,
have to remind
you're
them
not going to
about.
like end right now, are you? No, I'm just saying before that is all right. So what I'm trying, okay. And real quick, when you said disjointed, I can't hear that word without remembering this when I was acting in this thing and the director said like so much. You know, some people say like so much, like they just like say it like all the time. You know, she said like so much that she actually put like in the middle of the word. She's like, oh, and then just remember that it's like dislike jointed. She said dislike jointed. And now every time I hear the word disjointed, I hear dislike jointed. And anyway.
I didn't say that though.
So what I'm trying to say is that this podcast was dislike jointed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You stole mine.
Yes.
This podcast was very confusing and all over the place and raised way more questions than it answered.
Oh, I thought you were going to say raised by wolves. That would have been fun.
Oh, this podcast was so much fun. It was fun.
Because Kat was here. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if it was Rico instead? Barf.
That's 4 times that we shouted out Rico in this episode.
He's like, you should have stopped at
it.
3. You should have stopped at 3. All right. Just everybody at home, remember what our good friend and savior, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, always tells us.
Don't forget to register to be an organ donor with Donate Life America. And don't forget to watch The First of Things, please.